The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
I started to question myself if I was watching Lucha Underground and I had accidentally flipped over to Cinemax.
Not a whole lot of faces shown as far when it comes to Brenda, so
yeah,
you're spot on there, buddy.
This is the house that AJ Styles built.
Like Nakamura, he's just such a great star. It doesn't matter what you do with him, people are going to cheer for him.
Did you feel the gloriousness? Did you feel it? Bobby Roode did his job.
This is insane how great they are.
Well, I think the authors of pain are young prodigies.
That's how good we are representing Bullet Club. This is what we do.
Super Kid Pate! Japan!
But you know who doesn't need luck? Me. Right? Yeah. Asuka needs to realize that this isn't NXT, this is WWE. And I've seen what all the fans are writing all over Twitter, that nobody's ready for Asuka. Well, guess what? At TLC on Sunday, I'm about to cause what everybody will call the upset of a century.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the max.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughan, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leazar.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling to the Max, episode 269, part 2. And that's right, we are brought to you by W2Mnet.com, the place where you go find all your great wrestling needs and a lot more. Make sure you go hit that subscribe button over at Wrestling to the Max. And also, don't forget to go ahead and rate and review if you haven't done that already. Appreciate all those that have already done that. Major props over there to 4womanmania.com and lastwordonprowrestling.com. Appreciate all their support. Want to give some big love to them. And, of course, don't forget the W2M network that we're also a part of as well, because that's going to get you everything over there at the W2Mnet.com family, all the other wrestling podcasts, plus sports, entertainment, everything under the sun that you're going to want to listen to. So trust me, go do that now. And that's also just another way to get us and a lot more content that you're probably waiting for at your beck and call. And, also, maybe you want to go find us on YouTube. Maybe you go find us on Apple Podcasts. But we are announcing, and we've already kind of done this earlier in the week, but we are also available. They're using your Amazon Alexa. That's right. So you just say, hey, Alexa, Spreaker, and search Wrestling to the Max. And then guess what? You will get us right there. You don't have to touch anything. You just say it and you can get our episodes. So it's going to be really awesome. Hey, maybe even try it Sunday night after the pay-per-view, because we'll be doing a big TLC review show. So, hey, that's the first time you want to try it out. Do that, please. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm your host, Gary Vaughan, and along with me tonight is Mr. Sean Garmer.
What's up, everybody?
And Mr. Paul Leazar.
Heyo.
And guys, we have a great show ahead of everybody. We are going to do a TLC preview, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I know we're all looking forward to doing that. It's going to be kind of interesting how we're all going to kind of break down things and give our predictions. We're also going to be talking a little bit about some big news coming out of the world of wrestling and quick hits, so we'll get into that. Plus, we'll talk Ultima Lucha Tres. That's right, Lucha Underground's final show for season 3. Be kind of a bittersweet thing, hopefully not the bitter part later on and in the future. And we'll also get into some Impact Wrestling. So we've got a basically full show ahead of us. Plus, we're crowning a superstar of the week, so I'm really, really looking forward to this show. Before we get into all that, though, guys, I do want to say this. I know all three of us are a fan of this show, and we mentioned a few entertainment things at the beginning. You guys have probably known this for weeks. I just saw it on my email tonight for Netflix that we are getting Stranger Things on October 27th. I can't wait for the second season.
Which one? I'm sorry, I was caught up in people bickering on the internet, as the internet's full of. Sorry.
Well, I wish they would just stop bickering and talk about this next season of Stranger Things. I mean, I just thought it was coming out today.
They did an announcement for it this year at the Super Bowl, Gary. How'd you miss that?
I didn't see the date, and if I did, I probably cried that it was too far away. I mean, see, I had to be reminded of these things. I can't just remember that in April or whenever the Super Bowl, February, whenever that was. I don't even know anymore. I gave up, a long time ago on remembering things. So
they at the Super Bowl, I believe they announced it as Halloween, and then they got the specific date, I think, as the recent trailer came out a couple of months ago. But yeah, October 27th, I'm super excited. I loved the first season. And then not even 2 weeks later is when The Punisher's coming out on Netflix, which they released another trailer for today, which if you haven't watched that, oh my god, go pause this show right now and watch that 2 minutes and then come right back here and listen to us gush.
Yeah, God, I can't wait. I love The Punisher. Oh my god. See, and the bad thing here's the negative thing, guys. I've gotten a little lax, and I have not watched, the Avengers thing, or not Avengers, is that what they're called? The Defenders, thank you. I haven't watched the Defenders yet, so it's going to be hard for me to watch the Punisher thing. Unless it doesn't count, I don't know if they're going to match up or not. If not, I'll probably watch Punisher first, to be honest with you. So
they don't really make a lot of mention of the Punisher. He's not in the Defenders at all. I think I'm in the minority. I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people weren't a huge fan of the Defenders, unfortunately, but I thought it was really good. But the Punisher just looks phenomenal. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't either. It's going to be too much fun.
Yeah.
Sean, do you have any say in this? Do you like any of this? I know you were at one time watching Stranger Things.
Oh, I'm excited for Stranger Things. I can't wait for that to come back. So, sorry, I'm also having to deal with people bickering on the internet too. So,
see, that's why I stay off it. You guys are so, into things. I just stay off it. If I got into it, it would be bad. So,
well, it's our own personal website chat that I have to deal with, because then I have to deal with people messaging me later about somebody said this and that and whatever. So, normally everybody, acts accordingly in there. I don't know what's going on today. You talk about Bullet Club and NXT, and apparently it becomes Indie versus NXT. Everybody goes off on each other.
It's crazy.
But anyway, I'm referring to the NXT house show against the Bullet Club house show, or ROH house show that's happening, I think, the day before NXT TakeOver or whatever.
It's the 17th down in San Antonio.
Yeah. But, anyway, all this stuff is the Punisher. Who knows when they're going to air that, because they rightly delayed that coming out because of the shootings in Las Vegas. So I don't have a problem with that at all.
The date they gave was November 14th.
Yeah, I'm still behind on all that. I'm like on Daredevil Season 2, and then I still got to watch the other 2 shows and Defenders before I get to that, I guess. So I'll probably get to that at some point when I get there, but Stranger Things I loved, so I'm excited for that to be back and everything.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. So I just had to throw that out there, guys. I was super excited when I was reminded, I guess, through my emails. So there you go, people.
And if for some reason you haven't been watching that American Horror Story, forget about the little bit of politics that's in there. It's really, really good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Do you like the fact they added the Zodiac stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like all the psychological stuff in there.
It's a really good season. And the clown stuff is not as bad as, Paul, you're imagining. It's not that bad. Trust me. So
don't lie to me, Gary.
Okay. Yeah, there is a lot of clown stuff. Anyway. We'll stay away from that conversation. But yes, Sean is completely right. Go check out American Horror Story if you're not watching it. Those actors and actresses involved in that show are dropped in amazing. So let's go ahead and move on, though. We got wrestling to talk about. We did our entertainment section for the night. So we are going to talk some TLC right after this.
Take it away, Gary.
All right. Well, we have a full card ahead of us, and, depending on your view of this card, you may be excited, you may be a little underwhelmed. I don't know, but we're going to get through it and hopefully get you ready for the show. We'll start off really quickly here with the kickoff match because it really doesn't matter. Sasha Banks versus Alicia Fox. What do you got here, Paul?
I miss Noam Dar sometimes. This is Sasha, right? Like, there's no way in hell that Alicia's winning this. It's the, as we like to say on here every once in a while, it's busy work.
Yeah, it is. What do you think, Sean?
What are we supposed to say about Alicia Fox in a match?
I think Gary said it all already.
Yeah, it's Sasha Banks is winning. She actually has some kind of future, I'm surprised Alicia Fox is not one of the people deciding that she wants to go somewhere.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, but maybe she's just looking at it as, hey, I can sneak around, kind of like JTG. If I hang on long enough, I can stay here and no one even knows, and I can make a paycheck every day. So, and not only that, she gets to do her best Stone Cold impression every once in a while. So, maybe that's it. But yeah, you guys are right. Sasha Banks is going to win this match, and if she doesn't, we may need to start thinking about her and what's going to happen in her future. Just kind of like we do Bray Wyatt, right? And what his situation is. We're going to have Bray Wyatt and actually as Guile being Sister Abigail, right? And Finn Balor is going to be the Demon. So really, it's not about their names. It's about the Demon versus Sister Abigail. Sean, I don't know if you're a little bit nervous about this. I'm nervous not because I'm scared, but because I'm terrified it's going to suck.
Oh boy, I just hope to God that this is over after this. That's all I care about. It's just, this has been going on way too long, and they have completely it's been embarrassing almost. It's just why are we doing this? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Sister Abigail was this cool mythical thing, and then you just absolutely this is on par with some of the most dumb things WWE has ever decided to do with trying to kill a character. And it's how do you come back from this if you're Bray Wyatt? He was already pretty much, out there to where how much did he really have left? And now it's are you trying to Yeller the guy or what? I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with doing the whole cross-dressing thing. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But for this character, it just doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry.
I think just to do it at this time, after people already don't give a shit about the feud, for you to go this far with it, it seems silly to go out there and do something like this. I'm fully expecting something that's going to be reminiscent of what we got at WrestleMania this year with Bray and Randy Orton, where they're going to tack on all these production bells and whistles during the match. That's just going to be either
no holograms, please.
There's going to be holograms and pyro and just all sorts of weird stuff. And for maybe the 5-10 people out there who still care about this, maybe that's great. Maybe that's what you want to see. I am so over this. I don't even care. There's no amount of over-the-topness I think they can do that's really going to make me go, man, this is really worth my time.
Yeah.
Finn wins, if we have to pick.
Yeah. Who do you got, Sean?
Finn, because he's won the other two. What's the point of having Bray win now?
Mm-hmm.
You guys make some great points. I think, it is going to be all those terrible things, all the holograms and all the stuff you're talking about. And I think they'll even throw in some other things we're not even considering. Heck, maybe even at the end of this match, instead of it having a clear winner, Sister Abigail finds the demon attractive and starts, trying to make a little tag team here.
God.
Make a sitcom and put that on the network. I would watch that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. The Devil House.
I don't know about how Finn would feel about that, though.
The Demon Family. How about that, right?
Oh, that'd be so great.
Well, they could do it for a Halloween special or something.
Yeah. I just imagine, the demon coming in with a suit and tie. I'm home, honey. Sister Abigail. Good to see you. That's weird. Very creepy. That's terrible.
It's creepy that we're just talking about this.
I know. So I could go a lot further, but we'll stay.
No. Well,
Sister Abigail for me. You guys picked the demon. I'm going Sister Abigail. Why not? What does it hurt? Let's be honest. What does it really hurt to have Sister Abigail win? That's my big.
Hurts Finn.
But they've already done that.
I don't know if they can really hurt Finn any more than what they've already done. Like, nobody cares about this guy anymore who's supposed to be a big deal, and they just nothing. Just nothing.
It's sad. Let's talk about the cruiserweights. Let's talk about the fact that we're going to have a match between the Cedric Brian Kendrick, the Cedric Alexander, I guess you could say too. The Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher will be facing Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann in a tag team match. This could be good. I don't know, Paul, but I mean, if you ask me, I'm going to go ahead and just throw out who I hope wins. I know it won't happen. I kind of want to see Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher win just because I want to see that thing further.
I kind of want to see them win here too. I like their pairing. I think they're really fun together, and same with the other way. And with 7 matches announced on the card, I'm sure this is bound to get some time to really go places too. And maybe this ends up being sort of a sneaky good match that kind of pulls you into the show some. Basically, I'm going to be taking bets to see how far Kendrick or Gallagher can get launched in the stratosphere after Alexander hits a lumbar check, because they have been essentially what I feel like trying to just compete to see who can jump as high in the air after he hits the move. So
you're not wrong on that.
But I think, Kendrick and Gallagher, I think, get the win here.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening. Yeah, it's just, you're trying to push Gallagher. You got Cedric Alexander and Swann doing their thing. I think, I don't know, I'm going to go the other way, though. Alexander and Swann winning.
Yeah, and I think you might be right on cue. It's really one of those, it's a 50-50. It could go either way, and I really don't think it hurts either team, really. They can continue doing what they're doing, but I just think it would mean a lot to see, in my point of view, Gallagher and Kendrick win, but I think the fans would love Alexander and Swann. So, let's talk about a match that'll take us about 0.5 seconds to give our prediction. Asuka versus Emma, Sean.
Asuka, and more Asuka.
Simple enough, right there. I guess, Paul, I should have said, how fast will Emma die?
I think that's probably the best question to ask here. Does this go 2 minutes? Does this go 5 minutes?
It needs to go 30 seconds.
I don't know if you go 30 seconds. I like Emma. Don't murder her, please,
I like Emma, Asuka, too, but hey,
I mean, 7 matches on here, too, but you got to make Asuka look great here, and I think you put Emma in here for a reason, too. So this probably goes pretty quick. I'm going to say about 3 minutes, Asuka wins.
No, fair enough. There you go. It's Asuka all the way around. We got the WWE Cruiserweight Championship match to talk about with Enzo Amore, and he'll be trying to take on Kalisto and get his championship back. Sean, I mean, is Enzo going to be the Cruiserweight title holder again tonight after this episode of TLC?
I sure feel like it. I kind of feel like Enzo's just going to get it back, and he'll find some cheap way to win. And they'll continue this on, at least till the next Cruiserweight show.
I think this is basically fodder to build up a Cruiserweight Survivor Series match. So I'm expecting a lot of run-ins, I'm expecting a lot of distractions, and I think that's how Enzo walks away with the championship to kind of bring it up to the Survivor Series match where Enzo starts running down the division and suddenly he has to scramble to find a team while everybody wants to be on Kalisto's or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, he already said his team was money, the team that he assembled. So I think he's going to need more dimes, probably to outdo the rest of that cruiserweight division, probably.
Shoot, if I'm Enzo, go try to find people that aren't cruiserweights to take down the cruiserweights just to be an ass.
Killian Dane's just hanging out in NXT,
Yeah, exactly. You can do exactly what Vince thinks about the division and just, kill it right there. So.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I got Enzo winning this. I think that you guys are okay. I think Kalisto had his day in the sun, and that's about it. So. Let's talk about the WWE Raw Women's title, and Alexa Bliss will be defending that against Mickie James. And this is an interesting one because, for the most people that do think Alexa Bliss will just go in there and win this, there's also those sects of people that really think that Mickie James deserves a chance to hold that title. And Paul, we talked a little bit about this when we did our Monday Night Raw review, and you kind of had your opinion about this. What do you think is going to actually transpire here?
I mean, honestly, Alexa retains here for sure. I brought up the point that, the way they've kind of booked this, if Mickie ends up walking away with the title, I don't think I would be all that upset about it. I think, like you were saying, she does deserve another shot. I think she's proven that she could still hold her own as far as the microphone goes, and certainly still has it in the ring, as we've seen before, too. It's hard to take the belt off of Alexa, who is proven in that division, is a well-known commodity, and is just spectacular, I think, all the way around to being the champion. And what a great obstacle to have her run up against Asuka and see how all that plays out. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, I think you could really go either way here because Mickie James had that great match against Asuka when she first came back.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're here interested in making Asuka look good on that tour, you can have Mickie James win. But, I honestly hope that they don't just have Asuka shoot right for the title. So that you could still have her go against Mickie James and have Alexa Bliss still be the champ. So I think Alexa Bliss winds up winning somehow, keeps the title, and who knows? Maybe I think they've been saying something about Asuka's going to have like a feud with Sasha even, so maybe they set up that Sasha kickoff match so she get to win and, her and Asuka confront each other on Raw or something.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a possibility for sure. And, they have some options here, and I think they're, for the most part, really good. They can go different directions, and I think still have some quality matches, quality feuds, and that's good. But for me right now, I think the way they will go is Alexa Bliss. I don't think that they'll just give it to Mickie James based on her merit and the things that she can do. As much as I think it would be great, don't get me wrong, I think it would be a wonderful thing for her. I think that they have some other plans in place, and I think Alexa Bliss, being one of the better talents in the women's division overall in WWE, I think that's probably going to be the way they lean on this one. And, the one last thing we got to get into here is the actual TLC match itself. And that is going to be a 5-on-3 match. This match will be The Shield taking on The Miz, The Bar, Kane, and Braun Strowman. All. This is going to be a wild, wild west match, if you ask me. Paul, looking at this thing, it looks like it could be pretty crazy.
This is organized chaos at best, and it's insanity at worst. And honestly, both of those options sound pretty damn appealing to me. The Shield's going to win here, of course. I think the whole reason Kane gets added to the match is so he can take the fall, and everything else can sort of keep on progressing, and you have this nice little chaotic scene to sort of cap off the night. But this is a one-match card for sure, and the headliner here, I'm sure, will more than deliver what people are expecting.
Hey, what do you think, Sean? I mean, this is going to be a wild match. It's going to definitely have plenty of those tables, ladders, and chairs, I'm sure, involved all throughout it. It's going to be fun. I mean, Kane being added, I think, will be kind of, even if he does take the pin, it'll be a good thing to me. How do you feel it's going to fare?
It's a good. It's nice to have. I mean, you can make all the case about how they could have added a young guy in there or whatever, but I think Kane is a nice thought of nostalgia because of the whole when the Shield were going around, you had the Daniel Bryan and Kane and whoever else other guy involved. So, with Braun in there throwing guys around, I could see Braun just throwing somebody through a table, so this is going to be fun. This is going to probably last close to 45 minutes or something like that. Spend a lot of the time in the main event there, and I'm sure the Shield will win. But yeah, and Kane is there exactly to take the pin.
And that's fine. I think that's definitely worth it. You keep the Miz from being the one being pinned, and of course that would also mean that the Intercontinental title, would be at stake if you let him get pinned, and you don't want the bar to the tag team title. So that is the right guy to go by. But I think overall it's just going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think they're going to have lots of destruction, and it will be, probably Roman Reigns making a lot of the headway. I think this is part of why they wanted the Shield back together, to kind of really, get people back in thinking, oh no, you know what, Roman really was an awesome guy to watch. Let's get into him again. And so I foresee him being one of the biggest players in why the Shield win this. So that's not hard to say. So I think, we all agree the Shield will win. The one thing I want to see, though, is if Kane does get pinned, I just hope that as, TLC goes off the air, you see, in his hand, a vote for Glenn Jacobs pin or something like that. I think that would be perfect. So anyway. Well, there you go, people. That is our TLC preview. And if you want to come check us out for the review, make sure you check us out. Sunday night will be when we'll be recording the show. Monday morning on your drop to work, or maybe you're just kind of hanging out. That's the time you can go find that podcast. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're just going to get into everything that transpires. So there you go. Well, now we are going to move on, guys, and we are going to get into some quick hits. We'll do that now.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Go for it, Gary.
All right. Well, let's start out by talking about some big rumors like we have been lately. And the rumors have been revolving around actually talent leaving WWE. Last week we had Neville and that whole situation rumored, and we're still trying to work our way through that. And now we're going to add another person to that list, and that is Nia Jax. That's right. Earlier in this week, there were rumors that she left WWE. She was frustrated about the fact that she wasn't getting the things done that she wanted to get done for her character. One of the big things that has been said is that she wanted to be in that TLC match, against Asuka. And that was not the case, and so she figured maybe leaving was the best idea. Now, since then, we've heard a lot of chatter saying that no, that's not the case. The WWE gave her a leave of absence to kind of refresh, reset, and get back to business. And, it could be one or the other, who knows? But the most interesting thing is the fact that this had to transpire in the first place. And, I mean, Sean, we kind of got into this on part one of this week, and we kind of discussed this a little bit. Adding Nia Jax to this equation, it seems like this is a weird trend that is starting to take place.
We talked about it, right? This may not be the first one, and Neville set that precedent, right? And then it doesn't help that Austin Aries goes and says he's made more in 6 weeks on a Twitter post than he did for a long time in WWE. So I'm sure that's going to ruffle a lot of people's feathers. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nia also just took time off to deal with some nagging injuries or whatnot as well. We got to remember that this is not like Nia's lifelong job, right? I mean, Nia was a model turned wrestler and she might have just decided that, you know what, it's not like she has had, time off, I think in NXT or whatever, but like, I'm not happy with what I'm doing. Let me just take this time to get better and see if we can change things when I get back, or they have something for me to do whenever I get back.
And Alexa Bliss did an interview, I think today or yesterday, where she basically confirmed that, yeah, she went away to heal and reset, basically. So, yeah, I think I would lean towards trusting that information over everything else I've heard too. But I mean, you're right. We've talked about this somewhat on Monday as well. There's some other happenings here going on as well. But I mean, Nia Jax is basically a WWE built product, and it's interesting that it's not just the independent names that we're hearing about and some of this too. It's it's WWE built up people that are feeling this way too, which is interesting to say the least. Because now you have to kind of think differently. Like maybe there's something more going on here that we don't know about, or whatever that's just happening within the company that people aren't exactly thrilled with the whole way around. It's not just a mindset,
Yeah, and you got to feel for some of these talents that have really worked hard to get to this point in WWE, and really felt like that they've put a lot of effort into what they've done and earned some respect, earned some matches that are a little bit higher quality than the ones they're getting, or some bigger feuds, storylines, things like that. But there's really, let's be honest, like in a sport, the ball can only be spread around so much. Mm-hmm. And there can only be so many starters. There can only be so many people that can be actually in the game. You have to have those bench spots, right? And that's kind of what this is transpiring, is a lot of these people that have done well, whether it be in NXT or on the independents, and they've jumped over to WWE really expecting really bright futures, and maybe they've had a championship run, maybe they have gotten close, kind of like we're talking about with Nia Jax. She's been very close. She's had some championship matches, but yet never achieved the goal, and that's the thing I think that frustrates a lot of these talents, and they're finding that they have to weigh their options, and they've been convinced by some that have already done it that that's the best way, and then there's others that kind of talk him into staying. So that's the most interesting thing here. I mean, I do want to continue on this discussion, but before we move on from Nia, I want to ask you guys really quickly, if Nia Jax walked out the door, do you think that that's just going to be something that really honestly has not really let's be honest, not going to make a big mark, because really she has not done a ton here on the main roster. And I don't know that that's going to change anything, at least on that front. I think Neville leaving is a bigger deal to me, because I think so many people have kind of latched onto him and kind of followed him for a while. That sounds kind of mean maybe, but I don't know if people are going to miss Nia.
I mean, Nia is still new to the scene. I think things within WWE would change a little bit as far as booking goes, because it's really felt like the entire Raw division at times will completely move aside to fit Nia in somewhere to make sure she still looks dominant and everything like that. So the landscape would certainly change as far as on-screen product goes. But as far as I think like day-to-day happenings and whatnot, I doubt it would change all that much. As far as fans go, it would maybe not change that much either. And it's not like I think the wrestling scene as a whole would really change that much either, because I would assume Nia would just go back to modeling or something like that and take whatever name value she's gotten from this somewhere else that's maybe not inside wrestling,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be the case for sure.
I mean, I think it would suck for her not to at least get the championship before she leaves, right? But if that's not in the plans for her ever, then I guess, get while the getting's good right now, while you still have you're not in a bad way with the company or whatever, but the way women's wrestling is going, Nia Jax could decide to, I don't know about the indies, but, you could go somewhere else and maybe work lesser dates and still be involved in wrestling. So, there's always those options as well for her. But like Paul said, it seems more like she would probably just go back to doing other things or whatnot. But I don't know. I just think this is they had really built the division around her, and she'd been a focus for a large part of it. I don't know really what she wants out of it,
right,
other than getting the championship, right? Because she's been in every other part of the division. So, and I can understand her frustration with that too, because she never got it in NXT, and then for not to get it on the main roster either. And, you know, I don't know if maybe she asked to switch brands or something and they said no to that too. But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot left for her, especially if, you know, she ever does make her way to SmackDown. She's got a whole host of new people she can wrestle over there. So I'd hate to see her go. I really do hope it's a leave of absence for her. But, you know, hey, again, can't blame anybody that kind of wants to take their business elsewhere at this point.
Mm-hmm. And that's true. And this mass exodus that we keep hearing about, you know, because we've got two big names we're talking about here, but there's also other names rumored out there, and there's some other, you know, things circling around the internet. Really, honestly, this boils down to what really is true, what really is not. But at the end of the day, as many people as we're hearing that want to go, well, the truth may not be as much as we think it is. Dave Meltzer actually came out and said this is just overblown, this whole story, because, yes, there are people that are weighing their options, weighing the indie scene. There are a lot of those guys and gals that are saying to themselves, we have families to support, and the money we're making here is really good, and we're doing fine, and we're, you know, at least having a steady paycheck come in. We're not having to worry about, you know, we have to take off or things like that. If we get injured, we're still getting paid. Those type of things that you don't get on the indie circuit. I mean, Sean, you know just as well as any, you know, you have a family, and you've got to support them. I mean, that's got to weigh on these, you know, these talents' minds as they, you know, weigh those options.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, right, where, okay, yeah, you got to travel a lot, and yeah, you may not see the family, but you're also there as a provider. Mm-hmm. And, okay, well, if you go travel in these, I'm sure you can make more money, right? But then perhaps you're traveling even more. Perhaps you're having to do more dates where you're not seeing your family just as much. Yeah, it depends on the person, right? If you saved your money and you spent it wisely, perhaps you can do that, but not everybody does, right? Some people, we have to remember these guys got to pay their airfare every time, or not their airfare, they got to pay their hotels every time. They got to pay their enormous insurance bills that I'm sure they have, because, you know, insurance isn't going to be nice to people that go out there and get hurt for a living, or trying not to get hurt, but they're basically at risk to injure themselves at any moment. And then, you know, it's just, there's so many things riding for them at that point. And so this is a huge decision. If you decide to leave, go on the indies, maybe it doesn't work out for you. Mm-hmm. And then because you leave in this mass exodus, I don't know that Vince is going to be happy to have you back very quickly either. He might hold out. You know, he's big on second chance, but this might be one of those times where he holds out and says no.
Mm-hmm. It's also something I don't think WWE in its entire history has ever really experienced, where they've had people leave en masse out the door. Like if you follow the Japanese wrestling scene, All Japan has been victim of it more than a couple of times. It's interesting that I think this sort of came out as people talking about, oh my God, all these people are leaving or going to leave or talking about leaving. You know, I mean, we've heard Dolph Ziggler's contract talk about, you know, pretty often. But at the flip side of that, you hear, Carl Anderson talk about, you know, we may not be doing everything we want, but, you know, my kids like iPads, and I'm making money to keep them fed and all that, and it makes sense. As much this is one thing I think wrestling fans hate to acknowledge, is that as much as we're all passionate about what we're watching on screen and you want to see the best product possible no matter where you go, it's a business, and people are trying to make money to provide for themselves and their families, no matter where you are in a company or a promotion or whatnot, and taking the risk of trying to bet on yourself outside the indies when you maybe don't have the biggest name, or you don't have the style, or you don't have this or that, or whatever you need to tell, or whatever you tell yourself, or whatever you believe. Sticking around the WWE and getting the chance to be on TV every week and making money and all this other stuff, like travel the world essentially too, I think is a big perk. It's hard to shut the door on that. And for a lot of people who maybe I've heard come up in talks like this, I don't know if the indies would be the best fit for them, or even an Impact Wrestling or Ring of Honor or anything like that. It's just going out there on the scene for some of these people might not be a great option, just because I don't think their style or anything like that would fit,
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're totally right about that. We were just mentioning Nia. I mean, I just don't know how her style or anything would fit unless they're just using her WWE name and maybe her link to The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I could see Dolph working in another company if he wants to go somewhere. I think he knows that too.
Yeah.
Neville, obviously, he can go work anywhere and he'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I could see New Japan wanting him to help out with the junior division and everything else, and then he can do runs in ROH too. So, don't think he would really work that well for Impact. Because the X division it'll go up and down. It'll be just like the Cruiserweight division in no time flat. So where it can go quickly to being irrelevant whenever they feel like it. So I would go to a company that values guys like that. Plus, Neville could always bulk up a little bit. And he could become a heavyweight if he wanted to. So I think that's there for him. Dolph, same thing. Some of the other people, whoever they're mentioning here, it's just, I think it all depends on if you're a former indie guy and you can make it somewhere and you don't have a problem doing that, then they'll leave. But I don't really see any WWE product people.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen how those guys do, right? If they don't go to GF Impact, usually they'll wind up like Sandow or Jack Swagger. They flame out really fast. Ryback, even. I know Ryback's sitting there trying to make money off his podcast. Basically, the wrestling is kind of secondary to him, and all good for him. But yeah, most of these WWE only people that have never really seen the indies or were on the indies for a hot minute, they usually don't do well in the indies because they're not used to that, what you have to do in that style and everything else. And other than Cody, who made it a mission to adapt and do something about it, most of those people aren't like that, and they'll quickly realize, oh crap, I should have just stayed. So I'd imagine if people leave, it's people that have had their name made in other situations, and they'll just go back to what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Gary.
No, I mean, I was just wanted to, make the point that, Sean, you're completely right about that. And I look at this situation and say to myself, that's why you have all those people second guessing. And I think there's a lot of people that kind of understand that and know that a little bit. And those who aren't so smart maybe don't. Maybe they think, oh, I'm a wrestler. No matter where I go, I'm going to be okay. And that's not always true. And I think Neville, from what we're hearing, is pretty much 100% done. Mm-hmm. And you understand that because, well, he has been on the indie circuit. He knows what it takes. He's one of those guys that really honestly will be making money like Austin Aries is right now. And so that's a lot easier decision for him. And he has a lot of legs to stand on for being angry, where some of these other people may not. Maybe they don't get exactly what they want, but Neville has really proven himself here. He's really done a lot of great things on the indies. He went to WWE, did really good in NXT, has been pretty decently successful on the main roster with WWE. I mean, it's just that they seem to not really put him in the positions that will really help him, and they've kind of taken from him. If you think about it, Austin Aries comes into WWE, makes more money, apparently, than Neville, and he travels a lot more than Aries does, and doesn't get exactly the same pay, gets less, and still, I mean, we're still looking at him also getting that match with Austin Aries at WrestleMania, gets the pre-show, the very first match of the entire event, and doesn't even make the DVD. So it gets no DVD sales profit off that, no royalties from that. It's almost like he's secondary, and so I totally get the anger from Austin Aries. I understand it.
I understand Neville's point of view here too. I think we've talked about a bunch, right? He's, I think, worked the hardest out of anybody to reinvent himself, to create a character, to improve on the microphone, and really, I think, try to commit to the style that WWE wanted from him while still being Neville, right? Or Pac, or whatever you want to call him. And I think he's been hugely successful with this Evil King gimmick thing he had on the Cruiserweight show, and was absolutely, sort of warranted to move up to the heavyweight division. And unfortunately, history is not on his side of thinking that once you're a cruiserweight, you're sort of stuck there for a long time unless you're just so ridiculously over that they can't say no, like Rey Mysterio or stuff like that. So, wanting to leave and seeing that you can make more with by doing less, I mean, that's just smart. And especially with how much his home, the UK scene has blown up. Just I think going back there, he can be fine if that's all he wanted to do. But I'm sure he'll do the States, and if he still wants to do Japan, obviously he could do that too. But I mean, I get Neville's point of view for sure on this, and it's definitely somebody who knows, as you said, Gary, that he can go out there and be successful because he's already done it. And now he's got all these new challenges, I think, to sort of take up, because the indie scene is vastly different from when he signed with the WWE back in 2011, 2012, something like that, to today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think he's picking the wrong kind of fight with the whole Austin Aries getting more money. Austin Aries was in TNA. You're going to get more money if you were on an American TV product than somebody that wasn't. That's just kind of how it is. And Austin Aries was always kind of there to be a sort of, I'm not going to do all the dates. I mean, heck, he was a commentator for like a while. I mean, while Neville was wrestling. So, I mean, being upset about those things, I think kind of seems really weird. Considering the status he comes in at. Should Neville have gotten more money after the run he had with the Cruiserweight title? Yeah, sure. I think he deserved that. I just don't think that Vince cares. I don't think he cares about what you do when you're in the Cruiserweight division. You're just there to fill out that show. Mm-hmm. As sad as that is to say. Same thing with, I don't know that Enzo, it doesn't matter how big Enzo gets on that show, I don't think Enzo's going to get any kind of bump for doing it. I mean, great. Enzo went down there and proved a lot of people wrong and all that stuff. Great for him too. But I just, Neville's going to be fine. I don't think we got to worry about Neville. He knows what he's doing. He's been in this situation before. He will be just fine. Obviously this is a thing we have to monitor. And I forgot, going back to the Nia Jax thing really quick. Nia Jax is on Total Divas this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't even. What if Nia Jax becomes one of the best parts of Total Divas? I don't know that that's something that she enjoys doing or whatever. You have to deal with a camera following you all around all the time. But like, if she becomes a big hit on there, WWE might fight to get her back, just because people really enjoyed her on the show, or the producers, enjoyed her on the show or whatever. So, that season hasn't even aired yet. So let's see. But yeah, I mean, both of them are, I think they'll be okay regardless, but it's, this is obviously something we got to keep seeing what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. The Aries deal, by the way, is in response to the tweet that Aries made, where he made more in 6 weeks than he did 4 months working the indies than he did the WWE. And Neville saw that and is like, dude, well, I'm not getting paid here either, and I'm traveling more, and it just, like, it doesn't make sense to stick around here if I'm doing all this extra work when I can be out there making more money and doing less because of it, as far as travel times goes. So, like, that just, it makes obscenely good sense if you're learning all this and realizing, like, what do I need to be here for if I'm going to be, misused and not up to par on what I think I've given you in response to what you've asked of me. Basically it's BS and it's time for me to move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's, his prerogative, and, better for him if it does work out that way and he's successful back on the indies. I mean, that's fair, and I appreciate all the things that he's done to make WWE better, and, hey, I'm happy for him, however it works out. But, it's going to be very interesting to see how this all transpires with Neville, with Nia Jax, with all these other talents. And as the weeks go on, we'll hear more and more about this and see what actually does transpire. Once again, these are all rumors. We got a few things out that are facts, but until it actually happens, it's kind of hard to sit here and say this is a finale. It's in stone, so we'll see. WWE is really trying to do a lot still. They may not be, making everybody happy, but what they're trying to do is continue on and at least get some of those guys that they signed in the UK division to actually be able to have their own show. And one thing that they've done recently is started pitching a show in the UK to many different networks over there in the UK. And one of them is ITV, which you saw this last year do the World of Sport tapings. And this show that they're really kind of trying to promote and trying to sell is called King of the Ring, which is, that's kind of interesting, What do you think about this, Paul? I mean, this is going to be hopefully something that takes place because we've been waiting for a while for the UK guys to get their own show.
Yeah, this would be a show that would air exclusively in the UK as far as TV goes. I don't know if it's going to get simulcast on the network or something like that, or if it's going to go up on demand on there, or however that's going to work out since they're just pitching the show right now. But this is, at least it's good to see them try to move in that direction, right? Of trying to get something going for those guys. And of course, if it takes off and does really well, then it's easy, more money for them, right? If they're getting paid TV rights now. So it's a win all the way around for everybody involved as far as that side of the brand goes.
I think you need it for that side of the brand because, we got to be real, right? The money that they're making is small, but it also allows them they don't have to go around doing a million indie dates just on that salary. And then some of the shows that we see, like British Strong Style do or whatever, that's enough. They're okay with that. Now, if they want to make more and not have the tie to WWE and then they can, go do other things, then that's something to wonder about too. How long will they wait around just being associated with this brand that's essentially not doing anything unless they find a show for them? So, if they're fine with that and they feel like we'll eventually get put into the NXT system and they'll eventually do something with them, I think it would be a crime if you don't use at least Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate in that way. But either way, this is something that they need to do. Find the station in the UK that will air it. I'm not saying start going all the way down and get very little money for it, but I'm glad to see that they're going high. Go all the way up to ITV, see what you get, and who knows? Maybe one of these places TV stations will agree to something, and I'm sure they'll find a way to get on the network. If not, the internet's a magical place. We can find a way to watch it. So.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And, I'm just excited for a lot of those talents who have been waiting around for this to happen, and I really do hope that it actually lands somewhere. If it's not ITV, another network. Just make it happen, WWE. We need to see these guys, actually feel like that they matter. And right now they're just appearing on NXT every once in a while, and they're just working house shows. I know it'd be so great if they can do their own thing. So, something else that's going on in the world of wrestling that kind of sucks is that Mark Briscoe that we talked about this last Tuesday on the Tuesday show was that we had him, talk. And of course, we talked quite a bit about him breaking or dislocating his elbow, actually. And we just thought, no big deal. We kind of talked about it kind of nonchalantly, Paul. But this is more serious than originally thought. Apparently, he's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks with this thing. And that means that, they've got to change a lot of the plans. They had a lot of stuff kind of already in place for their TV tapings, so a lot of things written that they had to change. So this has kind of set them back a little bit. But I mean, man, I feel bad for Ring of Honor, but I really feel bad for Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, this really sucks for him because it felt like this thing that they were gearing up for with Bully Ray and Jay Briscoe was sort of meant to either highlight on him or kind of put a bit more of a bigger spotlight on him as far as it came to the singles stuff, because it's always been about Jay, really, since all of that came out. And Mark's just sort of, I don't want to say tag along, but certainly kept in that mid-card, upper mid-card area, never really being the guy. So maybe this was their crack at trying to do that for him. And then for them to have to go and rewrite TV just sort of supports that entire theory.
Yeah, it really sucks to have to be out that long, like 2-3 months, and you're having a storyline written for you. That's the worst. I mean, if you're kind of doing nothing and you're getting hurt, it's much less a bigger deal. Still sucks to have to be out, obviously, but yeah, just like at the worst time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It really is a shame. And, guys like him, they fight through injuries. They do a lot of things to get through. But this is something that, it's not something you can work through. You just have to get it healed up. And I really hope he does, get it healed up and gets back to 100%, because he's definitely one of the bigger parts of Ring of Honor. I just love watching him and the Briscoe brothers in general. So, yes, Mark, get better soon, man. Please. Kenny Omega apparently will be officially joining the Ring of Honor show over WrestleMania weekend, which is Supercard of Honor. That's kind of exciting here, Sean. I mean, we've seen Supercard of Honor be really fun and really great shows, but adding Kenny Omega is a big deal.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge deal. You're going to get a lot of people that are going to want to go to that show. Mm-hmm. And then certainly you're going to, I mean, they usually sell out, but now you're for sure going to get one to see Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I mean, they drew their biggest crowd to date last year with last year's incarnation of the Supercard of Honor show with over 2,000, right? I mean, now you have Tanahashi and Omega on the show. Like, I mean, come on. Like, how big a house are you guys planning on? Because you're probably going to sell it out.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely going to sell that one out. That's going to be one of the hardest shows to get into WrestleMania weekend. You know it is. It's going to be amazing. So, I mean, if you want your tickets, have they already went on sale? I don't even know. I know WrestleMania tickets are,
I think they have gone on sale already.
Have they? Okay. So if you didn't buy them already, you better go check into it, because you may not get one if you don't. Mm-hmm. So... we'll see about Kenny Omega. But yeah, Paul, I mean, there's this really crazy thing going on with Impact Wrestling, and it's nothing bad. It's actually they're teaming up with this Crust and Crate fast-fired pizza pub. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
So they're basically taking their entire show to Ottawa, and they're putting on like 6 wrestling shows from November 5th to the 10th. And I'm assuming this place is either nearby or whatever, but they're teaming up with them. They're having some of their guys over there for some like press stuff. And this pub is going to hold post-show parties over there where they're going to have, they've named a pizza after Impact Wrestling, and they have a specialty drink as well, too. So realistically, the funniest thing to come out of this is, as Sean has shown us in our wrestling chats, is all the pictures of just them like advertising pizza.
Oh boy! I mean, it's great.
Impact Pizza, guys. Impact Pizza.
Did you see some of the pictures with the Grado? Was he in any of those pictures, Sean?
I saw the one that I posted with Moose, mm-hmm. and it was some like Impact crushed it or whatever. I don't know. They're all dumb, and it's just like, oh, come on, like. All right, whatever. Whatever works for them. Hey, they're trying, right? So I can't really hate on them. I think it's hilarious, though. It feels like you're back at your local indie with them sponsoring, like, hey, stay after for some, like, food and drinks and talk to the wrestlers or whatever. I mean, like, that's what that feels like. But, hey, credit to them. They're trying anything they can, and I don't know how much it's going to help, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, hey, anything that they can do to get people to partner up with them, it's not a bad thing. I mean, I think that, they're doing what they can, like you said, Sean. And if pizza and beer and whatever that makes, wrestling fans happy. So why not dive into that and get people to get excited about it?
Who doesn't like pizza and beer? I mean,
true story.
So there you go. I mean, so I'm just really, interested in the pizza type. Like, I really want to know what that is. Like, is it, just multiple things of pizza? Is it lots of meat? I'm just really curious about that. And the drink, I mean, is it weak or is it strong? Those kind of things. I just want to know now.
Pretty sure it's you just get your own drink.
So I think it would be an alcoholic beverage. They need to make an alcoholic beverage for this
I would
thing.
assume it's usually when they say specialty drink, it's some crazy cocktail they've made up.
See, the reason I'm asking,
it's probably going to be like that ugly ass blue they use for their logo too.
Oh,
yeah.
See, okay, I'm going to mention this really
You'll
quick.
have the Grado special, and you don't know what's in that. It's the mystery drink, and
It's going to be really stout.
Yeah, they'll have the knockouts drink, and X Division. It'll be hanging. You'll have to grab it or something, and it's who knows what else they're gonna do.
Oh man.
So,
I find it also pretty funny that they put moose on the cover advertising pizza when realistically in Canada you could probably get a pizza with moose on it. So
yeah, good. You could. Yeah.
So he was being a cannibal at the time.
Yeah, he's eating his own kind there.
The own kind. Oh my God! I have to mention this really quickly here. When I went to Jamaica, I went to Rose Hall, and they actually had a specialty drink for the plantation, which was Witch's Brew, and so it's cool. If you actually buy it, they give you your own drink. You whatever that glass comes in, you get to keep it. So. Maybe they need to do that there. Maybe they have their own impact glasses, and if you drink it, then you.
I'm sure it'll have Josh Matthews' face all over it.
Oh, now, boy, that's sexy. Thinking about this though, the reason I was asking if it was going to be a weak or strong drink, it's either going to be representative of what the company is, maybe a weak, or strong because you're going to have to watch the entire show. So, just throwing that out there.
God.
But anyway, I just alienated the Impact fans. I'm sorry. So
they listen to us review it. I'm sure we've alienated them enough, Gary.
Yeah. Oh boy. So we'll do that later. But yeah, okay. So one last thing here.
Why do y'all review a show you hate? No.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I actually sometimes I enjoy talking about Impact, and sometimes I wonder why we do it. Big Japan, they, like many others, have joined up and started streaming their product here, and it's 888 yen. I mean, so there you go, Paul. I mean, you got 888 yen you're going to spend?
It's like, I think that's like 750 as far as what it comes out to in US dollars. But Big Japan is what got me into wrestling in Japan when I was going through watching deathmatch stuff back in 2005. They've added a strong style division now. It's called Strong Japan, which is some of the best wrestling you'll find on the planet right now for sure. Absolutely worth your money. And I mean, the honey pot, however, is sort of what I wanted. It just keeps getting smaller. I think they're the 4th or 5th now bigger Japanese promotion to open their own streaming service, along with New Japan and DDT. And you have some of the Joshi places like Stardom and Wave with their own now too. And people only have so much money. And they're making it hard on you.
Yeah, that's the thing too. I mean, when you're not that they care, right? Because nobody's getting paid for this, and then you're not paying to have it either. When you're part of that Real Hero archive, and you can just go in there and watch whatever you want, and credit to Eric and all the all those guys that record all those shows and put it on there for everybody.
Mort, that's off to him too. Yeah.
Yeah, Mort and Jamel and all those guys, but it's just it's a real service to the wrestling fans what they do. But certainly, they try to be very. They've already given everybody that until November 1st.
Yeah,
you have to download what you want. So if you know what the Real Hero archive is, you want to watch some Big Japan, you might want to go download whether it's the light tube matches or the great wrestling matches they have. They don't just have death matches on there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's well worth the 888 yen. They have some fantastic wrestling on there, but it's just like what Paul said, how many streaming services can you possibly have?
Mm-hmm.
And even if you don't pay for a lick of cable, at some point this all starts adding up. And if you're one of these people that's, you're just living and you got one of these just regular old jobs and then you're trying to pay everything else, these things start adding up and, you got to pick and choose what wrestling companies you want to follow.
Yep.
I think that's the truth, so, if you're into it, make sure you go, and get that streaming service. And, those choices are always difficult. I agree. So we'll find out, more about this stuff, and whoever else wants to pop up and add themselves to a streaming service, we'll find out. But yeah, that is all of our quick hits for tonight. And, of course, we'll have some other big news topics next week. But now we've got to move on to some of our stuff when it comes to reviews. So we are going to move on to Ultima Lucha Tres. That's right. The last episode for Lucha Underground for Season 3. We'll do that right after this, guys.
All right, we're back here with some Lucha Underground, and of course, this is what very well could be the last episode of Lucha Underground we'll ever see, which makes this,
Oh, no.
I don't know if tears are enough to convince somebody out there to give them a whole buttload of money, but if not, Gary's got some for you.
Yeah, I got those tears definitely flowing. And I'm just going to go, what I'm going to do, Paul, is I'm going to go down to the American Airlines Center in Dallas, and I'm going to sit there with just a stream of tears, hoping that Mark Cuban will say, "Stop flooding my court," and I'll just say, "Bye, Lucha Underground, please." Please just pay for it. Just, you got access TV. Come on. Hopefully that'll work.
It might work. They got New Japan on there. You never know.
I know. See, worth a try.
They opened this week with the usual video packages to help you catch up here, and the first part of it is at least definitely necessary because they are touching on some very old stuff that goes back almost more than a year as Dragon Azteca Jr. takes on Matanza Cueto, and of course we know that Matanza has kidnapped Rey Mysterio and has basically been super angry at him for pinning him. To that end, Dragon Azteca Jr. has been essentially fighting for both his sake and Rey's sake because he's tired of getting picked on. They go about 6.5 minutes or so. You have a really cool spot in here where Matanza basically overhead bellies to bellies. Wow, that was bad. Overhead belly to bellies. Dragon Azteca Jr. through the cage all the way out to the floor, and it looks like he should have won there. However, Dario, and what will not be the first time we hear of him this evening, changing some rules, says escape is out the door now. Just because you got thrown through the cage doesn't mean anything. You got to get back in there and face your destiny, so now it's only pin or submit to win. And as Dragon Azteca is sort of starting to make a comeback, you have Black Lotus come out, who has been in cahoots with Dario and has been basically being lied to since then about Dragon Azteca killing her parents when really it was Matanza. And she flies off the top rope, hits Dragon, or top of the cage, hits Azteca, floors him, Matanza hits Wrath of the Gods, gets the victory. And then post-match, Lotus attacks Matanza and tries to go after Dario and gets Dario to admit that he did in fact lie to her. But however, Matanza recovers and just absolutely wrecks her with Wrath of the Gods, and they make their exit.
Yeah, I mean, this was a fun match. I mean, for a cage match, you got some of the things that you like to see. They were, really aggressive in this match. I love Dragon Azteca getting thrown through outside, through the cage to the outside. I love that. You don't ever get a chance to see that kind of stuff. At least on, when we watch a lot of WWE television on this show, you never see that kind of stuff. So it's really cool to see it here. I think they did a really well, performance. I was really happy with what I got here. I think it was a good open, and it was just a lot of fun. And once again, something Lucha Underground can bring to the table that really no other promotions do, and that's just have these great moments of drama and just intrigue, and like you mentioned, can go way back to stuff that was long ago and just really make it matter. And so I think all around really good. And, sorry, Black Lotus, you should have paid more attention to the bigger guy, the smaller guy, of course, not such the problem. So,
right.
Yeah, it is what it is. And, I hope to one day see the next part of that story.
If we do get that, like I said, the future is still up in the air for this place. But I agree. I enjoyed this for a 2-hour show. I thought this was a very nice opener, and really that moment of him throwing Dragon through or Azteca through the cage, I think really just sort of sets up the rest of the evening for what you're going to get, especially in this triple threat match, which is turned into an elimination match by Dario because he doesn't want there to be any question of who should possess the magical gauntlet, and of course, it now gets the official name as the Gauntlet of the Gods. And dear Lord, did they just... really, this is 3 guys attempting to kill each other without actually trying to kill each other. Big spots all over the place. You have another sheet of glass brought in by Crane, and Mil Muertes gets thrown through that, which basically shreds his right arm, I think, left arm. One of his arms is all cut up and just covered in blood, and Crane gets busted open. Big spot here as Crane gets suplexed through 2 tables that Cage had set up earlier with Mil laying across one of them. This allows Crane to get eliminated later as Cage lays him out with the Weapon X. And then the match kind of goes downhill a little bit. It loses, I think, some of that special stuff that Crane brings to some of these matches where he can just go basically balls to the walls, insane from the minute the bell goes. And, to that end, it's fine because I think you could only get so much in, and what they got in before that elimination was fine. But this eventually comes down to Cage and Mil hits a flatliner on a chair after Crane runs back into the ring and attacks Cage for eliminating him. And Mil, of course, is now in possession of the gauntlet, which Katrina goes out and retrieves from Dario. And the lights go out as Mil bashes the ring with the gauntlet. And when they come up again, King Cuerno is in the ring and has made his return and attacks him and steals the gauntlet. And this is basically getting payback for Mil absolutely annihilating him earlier this season or at the end of last season. I can't remember which. And it looks like this has been reopened as well. And I was a great fan of this match. I loved the King Cuerno return. I thought that was wonderful. This whole piece of business was, tops as far as I went.
Mm-hmm. I'm right there with you. And I just the match itself was just so much fun to watch. It was better than, what you would get sometimes in just regular triple threat because they could use weapons and do all those things that, really make it special. And those guys were a bloody mess. I mean, they really were. And, we've seen this in Ultima Lucha all throughout. Hey, let's get as much blood we can as we can on TV, So they definitely do that, with some due justice here. And I really appreciate that. And you're right. Crane being out of the match definitely took a lot of that high energy pace out of it, and now you're down to 2 guys who are good, don't get me wrong, but they're not going to give you that, and that excitement kind of left the room once Crane was eliminated. So, the ending here was fine, and it was, once again, something very dramatic, and they bring in King Cuerno, and the next thing you know, it's different than when you originally thought the ending was going to be. They always take it away right from underneath your feet, right when you think you won it all, right? So it's kind of a theme throughout this entire night. But that's okay. Once again, I agree with you. Great piece of business.
I would also be remiss to forget that Crane pulls out a bunch of wooden stakes, essentially, and smashes them into the top of Brian Cage's head, which is just straight out of the Big Japan playbook for sure. But this, so cool. I've never seen a televised product, at least here in the States, do that. And that is certainly, I think, a defining moment for what makes Lucha so very different.
Oh, definitely. And you know what I wish? This sounds a little crazy, but, I wish they had the production that could allow, when he does something like that or a spot where Cage bleeds, to see some metal.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be brilliant, but I know it's really hard to do when you're in a live match and all that. But I think it'd be so cool if some way they could do it, even if it was some pain or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it might have to take more than Mark Cuban to fund that sort of production.
That would be like, hey, Kane fell through the ring, and we don't know why, but he'll be back in about 20.
Oh, man. After that wonderful segment, we cut to something that is absolutely hilarious, and that is the documentary that Taya has been filming about Johnny Mundo throughout this entire season of Lucha Underground. This is legitimately some of the funniest things I think I've seen on this show to date, especially all the goofs at the beginning where Mundo's like, you're ready? I'm ready? Are you fit? Okay. And then they smash cut again into something, and just really, really fun stuff. And Mundo just completely overhyping himself, too, ahead of this match with basically his biggest rival in the entire place, and Prince Puma, I thought was just wonderful.
Oh, yeah, I'm right there with you. It was very funny. And, it's just this whole group. It has that comic feel, but yet they're very serious, right? They're a very dangerous group. But at the same point, I mean, you can't help but love them because of these silly, cheesy things that they do. And I think it was very, very well done. I was very happy with it. And so it sets you up to get to that match at the end. But nonetheless, you finally get to see the product that you'd been watching for a long time.
Absolutely. And this brings us to our main event, the Lucha Underground Championship on the line as Johnny Mundo defends against Prince Puma, who has put his career on the line. And they come out firing basically with a lot of great stuff that harkens back to all their previous encounters, as well as their usual over-the-top flair that both of these guys like to do. Is lots of flips and lots of, I think, parkour inspiration stuff, certainly in the beginning at least. Eventually, of course, you have what you would expect, which is Worldwide Underground coming out and causing some havoc and making you think that, it's just not going to be Puma's night. There's too many people. But then here comes Angelico flying around, taking out everybody, getting his revenge on the Underground for breaking his arm in a car earlier this season. And eventually it's enough to allow Prince Puma to go up top and hit the 630 and win the championship for the second time. The crowd goes nuts. It's a wonderful match. It's a great piece of storytelling with all the stuff involved as well, and it's just absolutely spectacular.
Oh, yeah, you're completely right. Probably the best piece of business and match that I've seen all week, in my personal opinion. I loved this match. And yes, there are components that are not, straight up clean and things like that. But at the end of the day, not only was it a lot of great wrestling and a lot of the extracurriculars, the high-flying stuff, but you get some interference here that it's just fun. It's entertaining. I really, really love this, and I thought it was, great to see Prince Puma get that chance to win his second title, and it was just one of those things where you sit there and say at the end of it, wow, I just had so much fun, and it felt like that was quick because I was having so much fun.
Absolutely spectacular moment, but as I said earlier, we're not done with Dario, and Dario's not done with Ultima Lucha as he comes out and says, you know what, Puma, you still got one more match, and that's because last week after Pentagon won the Gift of the Gods Championship, he ran into Dario and told him, hey man, I want my shot next week, and Dario, it brings up the rule that he made. He wants the week to promote, but he says that rules are like bones. They are meant to be broken. Both of their careers are on the line in this case, and the championship, of course, is up for grabs as well. So Prince Puma defends the Lucha Underground title against Pentagon Dark with both of their careers on the line. This gets a lot of time for what I was expecting this to go kind of quick. And they still almost get 10 minutes, I think, of some very, very well done action. Vampiro looks to get up and try to rally Puma as he's coming down the stretch to get the victory, but ends up pulling Pentagon out of the way of the 630. Pentagon recovers, package pile driver, gets in the win. He is your new Lucha Underground champion, and what a spectacular ending to the whole shebang as far as the wrestling action goes. This is, you put it on the guy who got you here, and now you put it on the guy who's going to take you forward if indeed you get another season, because Pentagon arguably might be the most over guy on the roster.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know how much I love him. I'm just big and Pentagon Dark, and I think for what it is, you've seen the entire show. That the end is not the end. Mm-hmm. There's always more to the story, and that's because Dario Cuarto. And when I saw Puma win, I started thinking to myself, well, that just doesn't kind of work what I thought it was going to work out. That's fine. I love Prince Puma. It's great. And then the way Puerto just basically says, no. Okay, so that leads you to where, okay, I get where this is going. And it all makes sense. And you're right. This was not a short match between Pentagon Dark and Prince Puma, but it's so much better that way. And I say that because, sure, you get a quality match, but not just that. It shows that Prince Puma is giving every single last bit of energy he has because, well, this is his career, and he has to. And he just can't overcome all that's been thrown at him. And Pentagon Dark is just, one of those guys you can't just jump into the ring with after having an extremely difficult match. And it just shows right there. Pentagon Dark wins the championship, makes me happy. But I still sad that I may never see the fruits of that labor.
Yeah, especially afterwards he gets on the microphone and cuts a promo that now he is the champion. This is his temple. And, of course, Vampiro's in the ring celebrating with him some, too. And it's very clear now that all of Vampiro's machinations this season with Prince Puma were just a setup all along to sort of betray him and find a way to get him out of here. And Puma walks out all dejected. I should mention, of course, that Pentagon broke his arm at the beginning of the match before. That might have been something important I should have mentioned. But he walks out holding his arm, and he ends up taking off his mask with his good arm backstage as we enter the quick cuts that have become synonymous, I think, with a Lucha Underground ending. Leaves his mask on the floor and walks out of the temple. And something I probably should mention here, too, is the second the episode ended, or at least as far as his cinematic was done, Ricochet put up a picture of a clock and said the clock starts now. So,
ooh.
Yeah. Looks like wherever he is going, which, as we talked about, I think, on the episode earlier this week, it looks like it's WWE. The countdown is on, as it were.
Yeah, and hey, good for him, and especially the fact that Lucha Underground, is in limbo. I'm really happy for him, and we'll see. But yeah, the countdown is now, so we got 90 days, right? So
yeah, that's it. I still got some more stuff to go through here. Yeah, King Cuerno has the gauntlet now in his trophy room and sort of smiles at it in the camera. You have Sexy Star doing a press conference, and a little girl ends up bringing up a box and whispers to her that she hasn't forgotten about you yet, and Sexy opens it, and the spider is in there, so that still has yet to be concluded as far as all that goes. The Rabbit Tribe is still trying to worship Masquerita Sagrada, but Sagrada says, you know what, I know where the White Rabbit is, just follow me, and they all trail off after him, so I kind of want to know where that's going.
Yeah.
You have Phoenix and Melissa drive off together in the car. Katrina ends up walking up behind him as they drive away, and from the rafters or the roof or wherever, Jeremiah Crane is watching her still, so that's still a thing. And then we get to cut to the Lizard Tribe's little temple area where Cobra Moon is sitting on her throne as queen, and somebody walks in without his mask, and it turns out it's Daga, who has a sword, and ends up killing Pindar at Cobra Moon's request, essentially, to become her new king, and they still have Drago all chained up and all that, so Pindar is now dead. I think that brings the body count up to like 4.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
And Vampiro is back in his little temple area, and his master, we get to see on screen, has this really, really cool skull mask on, and basically congratulates him for doing so well and getting rid of Puma. Matanza is back in his cage, and across the way in another cage, Rey Mysterio is still alive and entrapped inside of that. And Dario finally is in his office drinking with one of the spokesmen, I guess, for the guy that gave him the gauntlet. And promises to get the gauntlet back and all this. And the guy tells him, you know what, don't worry, it's going to be taken care of. pulls out a gun and shoots Dario somewhere we don't really get to see because the camera pans off, and tells him that new management is going to take care of that and all of his other mistakes. And Dario grabs his phone and dials out to his dad, who very quickly passes out after completing the call, and that's how it leaves with the to be continued. So, epic cliffhanger that we may never know the answers to, Gary. It's heartbreaking.
It really is, and you just sit there and wonder about all these great points that they put into place here, just getting you ready for next season, and you just think to yourself, oh, and I can't find out, like, this is the worst thing ever. So at the end, I mean, yes, this kind of disappoints you because we know the limbo situation with Lucha Underground, but at the same point, you're very happy because, you see all these great and important moments at the end here, and they mean so much to, what we don't know. So I really hope we get those answers. I really do. And we'll see if we do, but yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
If we should eulogize the promotion yet or not, because it's still up in the air about whether we get more or not. But hopefully the day comes where we can come to you in quick hits and say there's going to be a season 4.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Paul. We need to be making sure we prepare that statement. So, but yeah, one last thing I was going to mention earlier. I'm going to say it right now. I love that ref bump. I didn't mention it before, but the ref dived to the outside.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. I died. I loved that ref bump. It was perfect. So, yeah, and that the match with Puma and Johnny Mundo. It was just so great. It was so much fun to watch the ref just say, F you guys.
That's Rick Knox is who Gary's talking about. If you're a PWG fan, what we're telling you isn't new, unfortunately. But if you've never seen any of this before, yeah, he likes to do dives too. It's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. See, and I don't get a chance to watch PWG, so that's something that was fun to me. So, well, yeah, I mean, that's Lucha Underground, and I'll be excited the next time we get to talk it. But until then, we are officially done with Season 3. Yep. And so that leads us on to another show, and that is Impact Wrestling. So let's dive in right now.
Yeah, let's do it, as I still don't have a theme, and I really need to sort that out.
and that's all of our fault. I should, find it and give it to you, but we're okay. We can just dive in cold.
Yeah. So we get some highlights of Moose and Stephan Bonner showing up to the building with all the stuff they took from American Top Team last week, and we also get to learn that Lashley and all the American Top Team guys are in the building, so we know bad things are coming our way. And after that, we get into our first match very quickly as Chris Adonis takes on Johnny Impact, who strikes very quickly, looking to get some revenge after Adonis attacked him last week, winning the #1 contendership. And he ends up getting the win here, about 10 minutes or so. Nothing wrong with any of this going on in this match, in my opinion. It's just fine. That's just, something to get you going.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's what it is. And you've figured this is what was going to take place, is Johnny Nitro or Johnny Impact. What am I saying? Nitro.
He's got like
Johnny,
20 names, Gary. You're fine.
I know. I just keep calling Johnny. Then people would say, no, it's not, because what if he's Johnny Gargano? Like, oh, God. Anyway, so, yes, it's basically there because you're fulfilling the story. You get, what you expect. I mean, because really, Johnny Impact is going to be the guy, but he's not going to get over in the end, at least for this episode. He's going to get beat down, of course, and all that. So it does happen. It progresses the story. That's about it.
Yeah, that is about it. In the post-match, Eli Drake comes out and attacks, or attempts to attack Impact, but Johnny is one step ahead of him and starts beating him up and with a belt and on all these other things. Adonis makes the save, and then they get to put the beat down on Johnny Impact until Garza Jr. comes out to make the save for Johnny. So I would assume a tag team match is in the works somewhere along the line there.
Yeah, and by the way, Garza, unless you just don't want to get in the ring and hit these guys, don't hit the stinking stairs. Just get in there and hit them. I mean, come on. It's like, hey, guys, get out of the way or else, I'm like, come on. Just go in there and swing at them.
I'm here.
Yeah, basically. It's like, I'm going to do something, and then just, you're outside the ring. Just do it.
Just do it. We go to AAA for a full match, actually, from one of GFW's affiliates here, as James Storm takes on Tejano, El Hijo de Fantasma, Eddie Edwards, and EC3 in a 5-way match. And I'm not going to say I didn't like this. I do prefer this to us getting clips. It does sort of take away from the story, though, that these guys are supposed to be working together against each other, and here they're just all sort of beating the crap out of each other.
Exactly. That's the one thing that kind of bothered me, right? And the whole thing was that we were supposed to work together, and we can't work together, and that became the biggest part of the Impact side of this. Like, we got to stick together, guys, and they just don't. So it is what it is. I mean, I'm going to be with you on the fact that I really hate to say I didn't like it, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't have a lot of interest.
That is fair. This story so far really hasn't done a lot for me either. I should mention, of course, that Tejano does win here due to, I guess, him and Fantasma working together a bit more, because Fantasma gets to sort of cut off James Storm from making the save as Tejano pins EC3, so I don't know. It was fine, I think, for what it was,
Yeah.
OVE wants to meet with Conan in Mexico, and Conan agrees to meet with them if they come on down to the Crash and defend those or Impact or GFW tag team titles or whatever the heck they're called these days. Eddie Edwards, EC3, and Storm are backstage arguing after that match, and this is where they say that they need to work together better, and Storm tells EC3, you know what, man, we're going to fix this. We're going to come together, and we're going to fix this and beat these guys back. And then we come to Desmond Xavier taking on Andrew Everett, which initially I was pretty excited for, but Everett is out there again with Trevor Lee and Caleb Connolly, and this is basically just a giant angle as everybody tries to beat up Desmond, and he keeps coming out steps ahead and ends up getting the win here, but this was basically an angle masquerading as a match.
Yeah, it really was. And I mean, good for Desmond Xavier, right? I mean, they gave him a lot of offense. He was able to look really well against a guy that usually does not have that happen to him. And, it's really interesting and in a way kind of refreshing. They're giving a guy, a young talent, more opportunities and doing I'll say this, an entertaining job of it. I think that they're, working their angle, and that's what they need to do. Mm-hmm. So I'm fine with this. I have no qualms or anything else about that,
Yeah, for sure.
Really quickly, I didn't make a point about the little situation with EC3 and James Storm kind of talking about that match. I think EC3 being quiet is what it is, but I wish he would have responded to James Storm when he said he was going to fix this, they're going to fix it together. Mm-hmm. I wish EC3 would have said, yeah, I know, I want to fix it too. Let's fix our career. Because right now our careers suck. Let's not worry about Impact. Let's just worry about us. So.
If only, Gary. If only.
I know. EC3, you're so much better than this.
It's true. It's so true. We come back from the Xavier Everett match from commercial to learn that commentary is informing us that Taryn Terrell is out of Bound for Glory, so now it's just going to be Sienna defending the title against Gail Kim and Al. I know you're heartbroken, Gary.
Oh, just terror. That ruined my night, I'm telling you. Who cares, really? I mean, Taryn, come on.
Somebody, I guess. I don't know. Next week we'll get to see Trevor Lee in Tijuana. We cut back to OVE looking for Conan, and they're told once again, hey man, go defend your titles, and then you'll get to see Conan, so whatever. Get to check in with Moose and Stephan Bonner again as they look out through all the stuff that they took from American Top Team. And then we get to some highlights of all the Grado, God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name, Joseph Park.
Yeah, Joseph Park, there you go.
Their whole traveling together and Park pocketing all the money. Well, we come back to the Impact Zone, and Grado finally confronts him about working him so hard and taking all the money, and is now going to hold him trial in the court of public opinion, and basically finds him guilty and wants him to return the money that he's taken from him. Park, however, refuses and says, you know what, I have an agreement for a match at Bound for Glory, and if you win, you can get your job here again, and if you lose, unfortunately, you will be gone forever. Grado is all too happy to sign it, and Park says, you know what, you should have read it, you should have read the fine print, because it's a Monsters Ball match against Abyss at Bound for Glory. Okay, I'm I don't, this angle has sort of piqued my interest at times, and I'm kind of interested to see what they'll do in the match. I don't know if I'm really all that thrilled about it happening, though, you know?
I feel that same sentiment. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing that bothers me, and it's silly, but at the same point, I think it's a very valid thought, and it's the fact that they went from all of a sudden Joseph Park driving around in a car full of girls and spending money on all that stuff, and you got Grado like, what? That's what? And then all of a sudden to this point where he's down to business with Joseph Park, and then Joseph Park just all of a sudden turns angry and is against Grado and all this, and it's almost like I missed like 3 weeks of segments. It's really the way it feels. Like this is, instead of let's don't do a slow burn, let's do the fast forward burn. Mm-hmm. Let's catch this thing on fire as quick as we can, light the gasoline up, and just. Okay, and it doesn't make this work. It doesn't make you care anymore about it. The only way this works is if you are a super Grado fan. Mm-hmm. And if you're not, you could give a little care in the world about this. So at the end of the day, sure, great. Monsters Ball, wonderful. Abyss. It's just hard to really get excited about. I wish I could. I just don't care. And here's the other thing. I want to argue the point of the contract situation. Instead of Joseph Park saying, you know what, you've been my meal ticket for all this time. I'm either going to give you your stuff or you get your visa back, or you can work for me still and you're under contract with me for 2 years and you have no choice but to pay me. Mm-hmm. That seems a lot better. That seems like, Grado is screwed. If all you're going to say is, hey, you just can't wrestle here in Impact, then that's like, I'm still free of you.
Yeah.
and if I'm your meal ticket, well, then why are you so willing to get rid of me? Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it's all fair points that really the story has kind of fallen to pieces since they stopped the whole wedding angle with Laurel. So it's almost, and I'll give you the time frame too, because I didn't really think about that until you said it, but now it's almost like Grado maybe had himself a free subscription to the Global Force Network and suddenly caught all the episodes and saw the video packages of Park taking all the money or something.
I could just see it now, behind the scenes, in Impact. They're like, okay, this is when, Grado figured it all out, and he's watching the episodes, and Cabana's on the phone with him. Kid, look, watch this. Cabana's telling him, okay, let me spell this out for you. He is stealing from you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna hang up now. I got to go back to Ring of Honor. Oh, okay.
It's funny. It's real funny. Grado ends up bailing from the building after he realized what he signed up for. He's in his car, turns the radio on, and then Father James Mitchell shows up and promises to send Grado to hell at Bound for Glory. That's certainly random, and Father James, of course, has a long history with Abyss as far as TNA and all that goes, but I can't believe they keep finding ways to bring this guy back.
Once again, it's something that I don't know why you even need to do it. Mm-hmm. He's never... Okay, so I think sometimes I felt that way when Paul Bearer was around, right? Like, every once in a while they'd bring him back for a quick shot, and you're just like, well, what was the purpose if you're not going to use him on a regular basis?
Right.
And I feel exactly the same way about this, but even more because this is like a 2-appearance thing. He appears here, and he appears at maybe the pay-per-view, and then after that, he's gone again.
Yeah.
I don't need him. You really don't. Now, of course, this whole thing is supposed to be scary, and it's supposed to be, evil and all that, and it's just so corny.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And I just don't mean to be like that, but this is very B-movie-esque, and just didn't care for it too much. So, whatever. Hey, James Mitchell got paid. There you go.
Good for him. Yeah, good for him. We go to Tijuana and the Crash, where OVE is defending the titles against Black Diamond and Black Danger. And this is basically a short squash, as OVE gets their stuff in and gets out. It's sort of whatever, I mean, still not really giving you a whole lot of reasons, I think, to get behind OVE yet.
I mean, if you like people that are a little different, dressed, kind of, if you want to think about the way that the Hardys were or something like that, you're supposed to have that same feeling for these guys maybe, and their attitudes is, we don't care, man, we're taking on the world. That's, I guess, if you were supposed to look at it that way, but not everybody looks at it that way, so yes, you're right. They don't give you a lot to hang on to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We cut back to the Impact Zone now. Jeremy Borash is coming out to talk about the Impact Hall of Fame. He is, however, interrupted, not introduced, by Dan Lambert and the American Top Team. And Dan Lambert starts talking about how he sort of came across falling in love with wrestling after he got into MMA, and how he has this huge collection of wrestling memorabilia. Like, he's got Bruno Sammartino's first title belt, and he's got the Road Warriors' first tag team titles belts, and Flair, and Jerry Lawler, and all these old school names. And basically now he's kind of upset that since he has the best MMA team in all of the sport, and people are disrespecting him and people are getting mad at him, he kind of feels like he's being disrespected in a way, and is ready to sort of come in and expose wrestling for what it is, and that's being fake. And so he proposes that Lashley and King Mo team up to take on Stephan Bonner and Moose at Bound for Glory. And it's going to be the end of Impact Wrestling, Gary. And, of course, Moose and Stephan Bonner come out with all the stuff they stole, and they get attacked as they try to fight 20 dudes, and they didn't learn the first time, apparently, that you can't do that. So, security and referees come out to try to break it up. They get beat up. Mahabali Shera and Caleb Conley come out. They get beat up. Andrew Everett comes out, and he gets murdered. It's a thing. I want to give it to Lambert, at least. He was very passionate on the promo. And for that, I think maybe helped me warm up to him a little bit, but I'm just not invested at all in any of this.
I'll give you the fact that he had a lot of information. He showed you a lot of old belts. That was very nice of him, but it took way too long.
It did take a long time.
It took a long time, and maybe he's very proud of that. And if that's legit, I don't know if it is or not. It probably is. Maybe I don't know the guy personally, but in the end, it's very fun to think, oh wow, that's cool. That's a nice belt. It's kind of like someone showing you the baseball collection. That's great. Oh, cool. You have a tie cop. That's awesome. Oh, you have this card. Okay, and then after a while, you're like, I'm done. You don't have to show me anymore. I'm cool. It's like people when I show my memorabilia from my Dallas Cowboy collection. I can see their eyes start to glaze over after a while, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm sorry. No more autographed footballs. I won't show you the autographed jerseys. We'll move on.
We'll move on. Yeah.
You were here to watch Titanic, weren't you? Okay, let's go do that. So in the end here, I think you're right. I think they did a fine job, and he, at least it was interesting. They do a decent job setting up this match. A match that, and I feel like a jerk saying this, but once again, another match I'm just not invested in. Mm-hmm. I just don't have a lot of care if Bobby Lashley beats up Moose or Moose beats up him. Stephan Bonner and King Mo, that's completely throwaway. I don't even need them, right?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody out there might care to see them. I don't know.
Maybe so. I just kind of hope they run into each other, like the first the bell rings and then they get in the ring, King Mo and Bonner just run headfirst into each other, knock each other out, and then we can actually get into the match. Like, you know what I mean? Let's do that, right? But anyway, long story short, I'm going on and on about something I really don't have a lot of interest in. This was fine. I really didn't have any. I just think it went a little too long, in my personal opinion. I think maybe I'm just bitter, Paul, because I was really waiting for Borash to announce like who the guy in the Hall of Fame was. I was thinking, man, I can't wait. Dick Justice is going to walk down that ramp for the Hall of Fame. But
God, if only.
Yeah,
if only.
So, in all seriousness, who's going to the Hall of Fame? Have you heard? I don't even know.
I don't think they've announced it yet, to be honest with you.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
We'll see. Johnny Impact, get your bells ready. You may be going to the Hall of Fame.
That's true. So. That's true. OVE meets with Conan finally. Conan sort of teases him a little bit about... OVE teases Conan about maybe letting him touch their titles, and they ask for the money for the night. Conan says, you know what, I never promised to pay you, and basically, at Bound for Glory, LAX is going to take the titles back, so I don't have to worry about touching them right now either. The OVE ends up getting surrounded by a whole bunch of people, and they get mobbed, essentially, and that's basically it. So, I understand this feud is about numbers game, but I just, you've kind of taken the cool factor away from LAX since they lost the titles, and even before that with the whole Patron thing, and now OVE is just sort of just two dudes with the belts. Who cares? I'm still kind of struggling here.
Yeah, I am too. I really, really am. And I kind of get it. You know, these guys are so tough. They're willing to walk in the face of LAX in their home and call them out and things like that. Okay, these guys have grapefruits. Okay, that's all I know about them apparently, and that's not enough. And I also the whole thing of you can touch our titles thing. I mean, these guys are supposed to be baby faces, right? I mean, they're supposed to be the guys we're rooting for. We're chanting, yeah, all this. And they're really good guys, and yet they're acting like little pansy title holders, like, no, you don't have, I'm like, dude, I mean, come on, let's just, be happy and proud of your belts. Don't ask, you want to touch it? You sure you don't want to touch it? I mean, so, I don't know. It's just, it's a little, someone needs attention, I think, and that's OVE.
I mean, it's all fair points, if you ask me, for sure. We get to, a video package for Taya and Rosemary as they are in the main event tonight, and then we go to the match, which gets about 11 minutes or so, and this was pretty good. I didn't have any qualms with this either. You have Taya counter out of the Red Wedding, hit a Northern Lights suplex, and then go up for the double stomp to get the victory. And in the post-match, you have Rosemary challenge Taya to a match at Bound for Glory, with Rosemary wanting what I'm assuming is a first blood match, but I think she called it like a Red Wedding something or another. Is weird.
Yeah. And then I'll actually be good, whatever that is. I think it'll be kind of interesting, because, sometimes those kind of gimmicks are really kind of fun to see and see how they all, transpire. But this match was fine. I mean, Taya has to win. She has to, because she's the next big thing. Mm-hmm. She's the one that they really want to push and really, make a big deal about it. That way they can keep Johnny Impact happy. And that's the best way to do it, right? And so, and Rosemary is one of the fan favorites. And, at least she's actually in the main event here and doing something. So I think it's a win-win for everybody, all involved. And, they'll probably have maybe Rosemary win at the, Bound for Glory or something like that.
Yeah, I think they put together a match here, too, that I'm kind of interested in seeing. I love Rosemary. I think Taya, as far as Lucha's gone, has proven that she has a lot of appeal to people, so I don't have really a problem with them putting her over here either. And I bet these two could probably have a great match come Bound for Glory, and that's something to look forward to, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm kidding, really, honestly, about the Johnny Impact being happy. Taya, really, honestly, is really talented and all that. I'm just making a stupid joke, but I think you're right about that. And if I'm going to have any matchup in this whole roster right, of women. I think this is the best men that they gave us, and so I'm glad they did. I'm very, very happy with that.
For sure. And that's going to do it for Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. So well, there we go, guys. Well, until next week on that. But now we are going to move on, and we are going to crown a Superstar of the Week.
Superstar of the Week.
Take it away, Gary.
All right. Well, this week we have, once again, a very interesting list here, and I'm really excited about getting into it. So let's go ahead and give our first point away. 1 point will be to three guys, The Shield.
Yeah, the Shield and The Miz were basically the entire reason to watch Raw this week. Everything else you could kind of basically forget about, because that's where all the interest for the upcoming pay-per-view is. That's where all the interest on Raw was for the go-home. And the Shield have two great matches on there and some great promo work to go along with The Miz's phenomenal work as well. And they did a good job of making you excited for one match this Sunday. And maybe that's all the props you need to give WWE, because the rest of that card, as you heard at the top of the show, was, oh boy.
Yeah. We'll get through it. It's going to be a little tough. And I want to be transparent here. I want people to know something. This was the debate that we had prior to the show of, who we should choose. And the Shield definitely got the nod because they did have a match. And, of course, they had some good promo stuff, too. The Miz was a big contender here. I just want people to know that because, Paul, you absolutely loved it. I loved it, too, what he did this week on the mic.
Yeah, just evil genius Miz during this has been really wonderful. I kind of love that he's gotten the spotlight that he has here to really feel like he's up there running with the main event guys where he honestly belongs. And it's just crushing it. It's just absolutely crushing it.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to make sure we gave him a little love here, even though he didn't get any points, because he definitely did. You're right. He did crush it. We're giving 2 points over to two guys, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
You want to talk about two guys crushing it this week. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were wonderful on SmackDown. I absolutely adored the promo with Daniel Bryan to start the show of them basically calling him the sellout now because he's the suit after being the guy who took down the Authority, essentially. And that's sort of what Kevin saved Sami from becoming, was another Daniel Bryan. And that just, it was so great. And not to mention the match against Randy Orton and Shinsuke in the main event was super great as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm right there with you on that. So, yeah, well deserved by both guys. We're giving 3 points to Mil Muertes.
That triple threat, or a three-way elimination, on the last part of Ultima Lucha was just wonderful. Mil, of course, gets the points for winning. What a match! What a match! That definitely. I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to Jeremiah Crane, but we like winners in Superstar of the Week, and Mil, you certainly were that this week.
Oh, for sure. We're giving 4 points over to Prince Puma.
Just when you think it can't get any better, Puma and Johnny Mundo put on an absolutely awesome affair. Lots of great storytelling, lots of great history there as far as Lucha Underground goes, and Prince Puma gets to walk away saying that, you know what, he's a 2-time Lucha Underground champion, and that's something that nobody else as of this moment can say.
That's right. And, once again, I can't wait to see this guy and his next move to the, wherever it is. What WWE is probably the place, though. 5 points, and the person that we're going to crown Superstar of the Week is Pentagon Dark.
Maybe he didn't have the best match of the week. That certainly does belong to Puma and Mundo as far as everything that we cover on this show. But he has the big crowning moment of walking away with the title. Really sets him up to basically be the guy for the promotion, and it's not hard to understand why. And this is, you could say that maybe Puma and Mundo laid down the groundwork, but this is certainly the house that Pentagon built, and for that, and for his crowning achievement and all the other great stuff that he's done for a promotion that may not get to see the light of day again, Pentagon, you have earned your 5 points, sir.
Oh, for sure. And I would chant, you deserve it, and clap, but I'm afraid that, he'd break my arm. So
he might.
Yeah. So I'll just, stay silent and just pay reverence to him. So there you go. So congratulations, Pentagon Dark. Yeah, definitely did deserve it. And you are the superstar of the week. But now that concludes our show for tonight. We've had a lot of fun, Paul, and a lot of good topics to talk about. And of course, next week we're going to have even more great topics. We'll have some big shows coming to talk about, Ring of Honor, next week Impact Wrestling to talk about, and a lot of other great content when it comes to wrestling news and just having a great time. Make sure you do check out those shows. And don't forget, Sunday, after the TLC pay-per-view, you can come and listen to us. That's right. We are going to do a TLC review show. It'll be available Monday morning on your drive to work or wherever you're at. It's going to be available on the download for you guys then. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really excited about us getting into the, the ins and outs of what will take place at that show. So be looking forward to that. And, of course, the best way to go find that stuff is go check out W2Mnet.com, because right there on that site you can go and find us and find out some other great wrestling shows too. And, it's once again a place where you just get best wrestling content and a lot more. And hit that subscribe button over at Wrestling to the Max. Go ahead and rate and review as well if you haven't done that already. That'll also get you all our great content in one place, whether it be Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere else. Just go check that out for sure. And make sure we give some shout outs and love over to 411mania.com and lastwordonprowrestling.com. We appreciate all their support. And boy, I am really looking forward to whatever next thing we're going to be on. I mentioned earlier in the show, I'll mention it again. You can just use your Amazon Alexa to find us now. So another step in getting even more global, even more universal on these gadgets, on these platforms. It's just so cool. So I'm excited about that. Really happy about all this stuff that's going on for the show. And, we'll be looking forward to catching you guys on down the road. So for myself and for Paul Leazar, we will catch you later.
Have a good one, guys.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.